Hello everyone! This challenge video has less to do with programming and coding and more to do with the big picture of maintaining your live website. I'm challenging you to make sure you have an update plan in place. Because keeping a WordPress website updated is 99% of the security battle. Sometimes WordPress gets an unfair reputation of being insecure and easy to hack. However, I would say that WordPress is incredibly secure, but only if you keep it updated. The moment a live WordPress website becomes outdated, it's almost a 100% guarantee that it will get hacked. It's not even a question of if, it's a question of when. I can speak from personal experience. I've used WordPress for about 12 years, and I have never once had an updated WordPress website get hacked. The few times that the security of one of my sites was compromised, it was always because I got lazy and let the website become outdated. Now, security in and of itself could be its own 10 to 20 hour course. But in my opinion, keeping your website updated is so important to security that I figured I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't include this in the course. So the entire point of this challenge is to present you with the two main plans or strategies to keeping your site updated. Let's say update plan A and update plan B. Plan A is to leave automatic updates enabled for your live web hosting copy of WordPress. And this is the plan that I recommend for 99% of people and sites. And update plan B is to be a control freak and disable auto updates, because you're worried that an update might break a certain feature on your website. So the idea here is that when you see that the core or security team of WordPress has pushed out an update, you first test that update within your local dev environment. You check to see if the update breaks anything, and if it doesn't and things look good, then you manually push those updates onto the live web hosting copy of your site. Now, before we go any further, I want to point out that both myself and the documentation of the official WordPress website strongly discourage this disabling of auto updates. So like I said, I recommend plan A for 99% of projects. The only way I would ever go with plan B is if a project had a really large budget and you had a person that was devoted to maintaining that one live site. So that way they could really be on top of updates. And as soon as WordPress puts out a security update, within that same 24-hour period, they could test things locally and then push the updates live. If you do not have someone that can really be on top of things, I would never go with plan B. Because even if your live website is only outdated for a day or a few days or a week, there is a very, very good chance you will get hacked. This idea of wanting to manually manage your updates comes from a good place. And with most software, that approach makes sense. But when it comes to WordPress, I feel like this idea of trying to manually manage your updates is completely misplaced. WordPress is a unique monster. As of today, it powers about 28% of the entire web, and its source code is completely open source. So we need to realize that 24/7, 365, there are people studying the WordPress code, both for good and for evil. Every day around the clock, there are people making improvements to WordPress to make it more secure, but there are also malicious people and hackers who are trying to find a security hole in WordPress. And if I was an evil hacker, WordPress would definitely be one of my targets as well. Because if you do find a security hole, you just found a backdoor into the software that powers over a quarter, almost a third of the entire web. For an open source project of this magnitude, it's my opinion that you should just always leave auto updates enabled. For example, if you're trying to decide between plan A and B, why don't we do a quick risk analysis for both? So if you leave auto updates on, what is the percent chance that an update will break a feature on your site? I would call it a 1% risk. To be generous, we could say anywhere from 1 to a 10% risk. On the other hand, if you disable auto updates and you're not on top of things and you get lazy and you don't update your site for maybe a week or longer, what chance or what risk is there of getting hacked? I would say there's a 99 to a 100% chance that you will be hacked. Your site will become infested with adware and malware. I don't know about you, but Plan A looks a lot better to me. I will take my chances that there's a 1% risk that an update will break a feature. And even if it does, hopefully you're checking your website every day or two and you notice if something's broken, you can just go in and update your code to work with the updated version of WordPress. Sure, your website might have looked a bit funny for a day or two, or even worst case, it was entirely broken. But what's the alternative? Having your website completely hacked? That could completely destroy your entire brand image. If people find out that your website was installing viruses on people's computer, or that a hacker was able to get someone's email address from your database, I feel like that would do way more damage to your brand than if your website looked weird for a day or so. So clearly, I am a big fan of auto updates. Now by default, WordPress only enables minor updates. For large, major updates, you will need to manually click the update button from within the admin dashboard. However, as we can see on the official WordPress documentation here, with just a little bit of code, you can set even major updates to happen automatically. That's completely personal preference and is a bit controversial, so I will leave that one up to you. Okay, now moving on to our next topic, whether you choose Plan A or Plan B, your choice here is going to affect how you should structure your Git repository with all of your WordPress files. What I mean by this is if you are going to allow your live web hosting copy of WordPress to perform automatic updates, there's really no sense in keeping all of the WordPress system files within your Git repo. So for example, if you were going with Plan A and leaving automatic updates enabled, within your Git repo, if I go into my app and then WP content, you would really only need to have your theme folder within version control, right? Because all of the other WordPress system files would be automatically maintained and updated on your server level. Or you could keep your entire WordPress installation in Git, but then configure your deploy service to only deploy certain folders, like your theme folder. Or you could set up your deploy tool to exclude certain folders, like the WP admin and the WP includes folders, right? Because those would get automatically maintained by the server. There is no objectively right or wrong way of doing this. It's all just personal preference and finding something that works for you. Big picture, whether you choose auto updates or you choose the more controversial path of disabling auto updates, you just want to make sure that your Git structure and deploy tool is doing what you would expect and is in sync with your update plan. That's going to bring this challenge video to a close. Let's keep things rolling, and I will see you in the next one.